Kellie, is there any update on Jordan Horson's status and how is she doing mentally? I know it's probably really frustrating to go down second game back.
Yeah, we don't really have an update. It's still same day to day, and even throughout the day. I think she's doing a rehab, and we're going to see what happens. I know she's frustrated, because she wants to be out there, but unfortunately, injuries it's a part of the game, and you've got to be able to manage that as a coach and as a program, but also as a player.
Would she be like a game day decision? Would that be an accurate way to put it?
I would think at this point she would be a game day decision because it's literally an everyday. We just got to get an update and see where she's at.
Thanks to Eric's trainer's game notes, I didn't realize this. Pat Summitt notoriously scheduled hard games. She, in her whole career, she never opened on the road at a ranked team's home court. You really loaded up the schedule, didn't you? And why?
Yeah, our schedule is an absolute beast. But I also felt like that was the best way for us to improve as a team. It's again, we want to win every game, but the ultimate goal is to be the best team you can be. And this team needs challenges, and we're absolutely challenging them early and often. I was surprised by that stat as well, but it's a lot to undertake when you're starting your season on the road at a top 15 program. That's a lot, but again, I want our team to work through the adversity.
Kellie, Thursday was the first game you had all of your players available. How did you feel about the rotations you had out there? What did you kind of learn from those, and what's kind of your thought process as you go throughout the game?
Yeah, I think the rotations, I think this will kind of be fluid and game to game. I think there are going to be certain games and certain matchups that maybe a combination is better than the next game. And so I think we've just got to go and understand we're evaluating practices every single day. We're evaluating our games. And, I think the biggest point is every player has to be ready at any minute when their number's called. You might get 2 minutes, and how great can you be in those 2 minutes? Or you might get 15 minutes, and you never know when that's going to be. We can't predict that. So they have to be ready.
In what way specifically do you utilize having 2 home games in a row and having that time in Knoxville?
Well, we were able to practice a good practice in between these 2 games, and obviously we feed off the energy of our crowd, so we love playing here in Thompson Bowling Arena. And we try to take advantage of the resources that we have here while we're in Knoxville.
You really, because of the timing of UMass and Ohio State, you really have not been able to practice between those 2 games, and you've got a little bit better situation here because at least you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday before Monday's game. What have y'all worked on in these last couple days? Yeah, so Friday was our off day for the week. Saturday was a really good practice for us, and then Sunday's a practice day. So between the 2, Saturday you're still working your offense, whether that's your half-court offense, zone offense or press offense, working all those things, trying to clean up some things. Defensively, still working on some toughness things, still working on our rebounding. Not a lot new. You didn't get to see a lot new. It's just maybe trying to now tighten up some things that we clearly need to work on based on our game performances. I assume part of that's turnovers and reboundings, but on the good news front, free throw shooting was an issue last year, and so far this season you've been over 70% from the line. Is that a good trend? Yeah, honestly, I can't get past the other 2 numbers to get to the free throw numbers. So, we've got good free throw shooters. We had good free throw shooters last year. When you step out in the game, you got to be mentally prepared to knock them down. So sometimes it's as mental as much as it's preparation.
after watching film from these last 2 games, I'm sure Thursday you got to see a little bit more offensively from your team, given without the press. But how do you feel about the decision making and the kind of shot selection your team is getting?
Well, I didn't think we handled the zone particularly well on Thursday. And we put a lot of work into our man offense, and we have worked on our zone, but not as much. And so it was honestly good to be able to get that in a live situation, to have those reps now, to be able to correct some things with our zone offense. We had a few good possessions with our man offense. We've got to continue to understand pace, where we need to be. We need to understand our spacing's been okay, but maybe seeing the defense, seeing the rotations maybe a little bit quicker to find some easier looks on the offensive end. It's going to be a work in progress. And then our transition offense, I think, can continue to be better.
Only saw a few minutes from Justine on Thursday. Is she back 100%? Will we see her more tomorrow against a team that has a lot of 3-point shooters?
Well, there's a lot more to it than just shooting. You've got to be able to defend and guard, and obviously for her, she didn't get the opportunity to play at Ohio State and really didn't have a lot of practices under her belt before that game. So, she continues to work hard and continues to progress, and then, I think she'll get some opportunities.
Coach, what's the biggest thing you saw in these first 2 games that impresses you, that you hope the team is going to carry on as you guys go through the early part of the season?
Well, I think we've scored well, even despite our turnovers and our lack of offensive board production. If we could cut down our turnovers and we could add some offensive board production, that's putting a lot of points on the board. And I think we had a good start. Now we've got to build on that and continue to polish that up a little bit, find ways to make it even easier. Last year was a consistent work in progress throughout the year. Our offense was, so we want to keep working on that. And I think we've got a lot to improve on defensively. Boards, obviously taking care of the basketball. So I think there's a lot there. But one of the positives is these things are correctable. These things we can fix. These are things we can fix, and I'm excited about that.
Number 11 team in the country, of course, coming in Indiana. What challenges do they present?
The first thing about Indiana is they are tough. They are tough-minded. They're physical. They, just find a way to win, find a way to make plays. They have some experienced players. They have some new players that they've added to the roster that's going to really spread the defense out because they can shoot the ball. So they have an inside presence with Holmes. They have, an outside threat with Berger. And I think, when you watch them, you just have to love and admire the toughness they step out on the court with.
You faced 2 pretty solid defensive teams already. What are you expecting from Indiana defensively?
Yeah, I think they're primarily a man-to-man defensive team. At this point, we do expect to see anything and everything. People could change their game plans this early in the season. They've liked playing their man because they're good at it. I think they'll be physical. It's primarily half court, but we're prepping for the kitchen sink, to be honest with you. We want to make sure that our players feel very comfortable if we go out and see something that's not been on the scouting report.
When Jordan went out, Horston went out, Tamari Key and Rakia Jackson elevated their game. And I realize it was only the second game of the season. You're still trying to figure out combinations, who plays well together, who does what. But how much do you need those 2, particularly those seniors, to really stay in that mindset with Indiana coming in with Jordan's situation up in the air?
Yeah, I think our players have to be consistent, and you take a player like Rakia or like Tamari, and if they're consistent, we're going to be good. They're good players. We can't have dips with any of our teammates, and Jordan Walker needs to be consistent, and Jasmine Powell. Sarah Puckett, everybody that steps on the court needs to be consistent for us, and I think that's what we need to find. And we're going to have players that are aggressive. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to play downhill, but it can't be every now and then when they're feeling good. It can't be the first few minutes. It's got to be throughout the game, and I think that's a challenge for our entire team, is to find that consistency.
As as far as being vocal on defense, who are maybe some of the best people that could step in and fill that void right now?
Defensively, probably the most vocal player we have on that end of the court is Jasmine Franklin. I think her experience and her knowledge of what's going on the court allows her, and her personality allows her to be vocal. But it can't just be one person. You know, you've got to have the entire team. It should be 5 people. Tess Darby's actually been pretty vocal as of late on the defensive end, but it really needs to be everybody for your team defense to function as one. And you know, if our package was different, if we taught defense in a different way, it could be a little bit more individualized, but our defense is a very team-oriented system, and it does require a lot of communication.
Follow up on Jasmine. You obviously coached her as a freshman at Missouri State. How is she better now? That is one, I had not seen her play in person. That is one tough player.
She's tough. And right now we need that toughness. Probably as much as anything. We need toughness, grit, and some savvy out there, and she's able to do that. She's not right now as explosive as she's been. She's still coming back. I think we're going to continue to see that trend up, but she's playing with confidence, and she's very competitive.
What was your biggest focus in the offseason and now in the early part of the season, blending the veterans that were already here with the very experienced transfers that have come in?
The majority of the work we did in the summer was dedicated to our offense and really trying to work our spacing and get good habits down. We've seen a lot of really good work in practice. We've gone really heavy with our practice stats, and our shooting percentages are much higher in practices this time this year than they were last year, so that's been a positive trend. We put a lot of work into it. Now what we have to do is take the work that we've done and all the efforts on the court in practice, and we've got to get them inserted in the game. You know, the games have to look like practices in terms of the speed and the spacing and the cuts, and we're working towards that.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
All right.